Recently, I made some videos about all the plants and all the zombies with their plush variants in the original Plants vs. Zombies 1 game. And well, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing with all the Plants vs. Zombies 2 zombies and plants, but today we're just going to be looking at the plants. And well, this will just be slightly different than the Plants vs. Zombies 1 plant video, as though there's many more plants in Plants vs. Zombies 2 that don't actually have plushes of them. So unlike the Plants vs. Zombies 1 video, I'm actually just going to be skipping over all the plants that don't have plushes, and I'm just not going to talk about them. As well, especially when we get to the premium plants, there's basically no plushes of premium plants, so yeah, there's no point of just going over the ones that don't have plushes because there's so many of them. But yeah, for the plants that do have plushes, if they have multiple plushes, I'm just going to be going over the one that's the most accurate. And well, I'm also going to be going over customs, as well the majority of these plushes in this video will actually be customs, as well if I didn't include customs, there would be barely anything to talk about in this video. But yeah, with all that out of the way, let's start off with the Bloomerang. Now, the best one in terms of accuracy, it has to be the MCC one. As well, there's actually two designs of the MCC one, but both of them basically look the exact same and have very minor changes. But yeah, overall, this plush does look really good, though it will be really hard to find, especially because there's a lot of bootlegs of it out there. So if you want a Bloomerang plush that's really easy to get, you can get the links to one as well, but still looks pretty good as well. Even though it doesn't look as accurate, at least it's pretty common, and you won't really have that hard of a time finding one. But yeah, if you do find the MCC one, I would recommend getting that one though as well, but it's just a lot better overall in terms of accuracy, and it's also a lot bigger. Next we have the Iceberg Lettuce. Now, there's really only one company that ever made an iceberg lettuce plush, being Linkson, and well, it's actually a really good plush. As though they actually use multiple layers on this plush, just making other layers of plush material and putting it on the other layers, so it ends up just making the plush look really good, and it actually looks really nice. But yeah, overall, even though this is a pretty simplistic plush, it still looks pretty nice. Next we have Bong Choy. Now, there's actually three Bong Choy plushes that look really good, being the Jazzwares one, the World Max one, and the MCC one. The Jazzwares one is a lot smaller, so if you do want a small Bong Choy plush, I would recommend getting that one, but the World Max and MCC ones do just look slightly better, even though they are just a bit bigger, so if you want one to fit in with the rest of the plushes, I would recommend getting the Jazzwares one. And while all these plushes actually have bendable arms, as well, they have metal rods within the arms, which could actually get damaged over the years, and over time, the arms could get floppy. And well, out of all three of these plushes, the Jazzwares one is by far the easiest to get, as well both the MCC and World Max ones are pretty rare. So yeah, if you want to get a really accurate looking Bong Choy plush, I would go with the Jazzwares one. Next we have the Snapdragon. Now, the Jazzwares one's by far the best one, but the Linkson one also looks pretty good. Though the Linkson one's face does look sorta weird in some cases, as well the eyes just look really small, and overall the face just kinda gives off a weird look. As well, not all the details are correct, and overall I just don't really like how it looks, but the Jazzwares one looks a lot better. As well, it actually has a bendable stem, and the face also looks pretty accurate looking, as well the eyes and everything just look really nice. But yeah, honestly, the Linkson one or the Jazzwares one would work, but make sure to get the older Linkson ones and not the newer ones, as well the newer ones look horrible. Next we have Spring Bean. Now, by far the best one to get is this one made by Linkson too, as well, but just looks really nice and well, but it's also pretty easy to get. As well, I see this plush for sale a lot in big lots of plushes. As well, I never really see it for sale individually. It always just seems to be in big lots. But yeah, honestly, it shouldn't be that hard to find, even though it's a bit rarer than the more modern Spring Bean plushes that look a bit worse. Next, we have Coconut Cannon. Now, if you want this plush, I would recommend getting either the Linkson one or the MCC one. As well, these are really your only two choices for a Coconut Cannon plush, so there's not really many others that you could get. But yeah, the Linkson one is a bit smaller, so it will fit in a bit more with the majority of the plushes made by companies. But yeah, overall, it still looks pretty good, and it's also really common. While on the other hand, the MCC one's a lot bigger, and also it has a bit more detail to it. It is actually pretty rare, and it's a lot rare compared to the Linkson one. One pretty cool detail is that the coconut could actually come out of the mouth, so yeah, that honestly is a pretty good detail, but either one of these would be both good plushes to get. As well, both of them look pretty good, and honestly, if you could find the MCC one, I would recommend getting it, but the Linkson one's fine. Next, we got the Chili Bean. Now, Linkson's really the only company that ever made a chili bean plush, and well, there's two variants of it, being the much rare maroon chili bean and the much more common orange chili bean. And while both of these plushes literally use the exact same pattern, or are basically the exact same plush, the only change being the color of them. So yeah, honestly, either of these plushes will work, though the maroon chili bean will be a lot harder to find due to the rarity of it. Next up, we have Peapod. Now, there's only one Peapod plush, being this one custom that I found, and it actually looks pretty good. As of, even though it is missing a couple of details, and for whatever reason the heads on the side are kind of weirdly slanted, it still overall looks pretty nice. But yeah, overall, this Peapod plush does look pretty good, and well, there's really no other Peapod plush that you could get. Next, we have the Lightning Reed. Now, there's actually two variants of it made by companies, being the much more accurate Lightning Reed and the Blue Lightning Reed. As of, for whatever reason, Linkson made this Blue Lightning Reed, which does actually look pretty cool, though it's not really accurate at all. And well, honestly, I have no idea what they really based this one off of, so yeah, it's overall just a pretty strange one, but it still does look pretty nice. And well, for the much more accurate looking Linkson 2 plush, it's also a really nice one, though it is a lot more common, so I would definitely recommend getting this one over the blue one. Next, we have Laser Bean. Now, the Laser Bean actually uses the exact same shape as the chili bean, but just uses the same base shape. And while the face on this plush is nicely embroidered on, the antenna could get bent and damaged due to it being made out of a felt material. But yeah, overall, it's actually a pretty nice looking plush, and it looks really good. And while basically every single other Laser Bean plush looks really bad, so yeah, this is really the only option of getting a good looking one, though it is pretty rare. Next up, we have Citron. Now, the only really good Citron plush is made by Linkson, and is this one, and it looks really nice. As though there's nothing really wrong with this plush, but overall it just looks really good, and it has a unique leaf base that looks really nice. So yeah, honestly, this is overall just a really good looking plush. I would definitely recommend getting it, it is a bit rare than the other ones, but it's definitely worth getting, it's just the only really good looking one. Next, we have EM Peach. Now, this plush was only released around a month ago, and it looks really good. As it was released in the newest Linkson 2 plush, and it looks really good. The antenna is made out of a felt material, meaning that it could get damaged, and the rest of the plush looks really nice. Everything on this plush is really nicely embroidered on and everything, and it looks really good. And this plush is really easy to get, you could simply just go on eBay and search for it, and there's tons of listings of it, it's brand new. Next, we have Tile Turnip. Now, there's no company that ever made a plush of it, but there is this one really good custom that I found. And while this is definitely one of the most detailed customs I've seen of a plush, it just looks really nice, all the colors just blend really good and everything, so yeah, it's definitely one of the better looking customs I found for Plants vs. Zombies. So yeah, whoever made this plush just did a really good job with it, basically all the details look correct. Next, we have Sunbean. Now, the shape of the Sunbean plush does look pretty good. The only really strange thing about it is that the eyes are a red color, which is just a really strange detail about it, I have no idea why they made the eyes a red color, basically the entire plush looks accurate besides that one part. So yeah, honestly, if they just made the eyes the correct color, this would basically be the perfect Sunbean plush, it's just a really simplistic plan, so honestly, I don't really know how they messed that part up. But yeah, just like the EM Peach, this one's really common it was just released, so you could get it really easily. Next, we have Bowling Bulb. Now, the only plush of the Bowling Bulb I could find is this one custom, and it looks really good. As of everything on this plush just looks really nicely stuffed, and it overall just looks really accurate. But sadly, you can't really get this plush anymore, as it was for sale on Etsy a few years ago, but yeah, you can't really get this one anymore. But yeah, even though it's not available anymore, still overall just a really nice looking plush. Next, we have Guacodile. Now, there's only this custom Guacodile plush that I could find, and it's really the only custom that I could find in general. And that actually looks really good. The only really inaccuracy about it is that the eyes are for some reason a black color, as though they're supposed to be a yellow color, but besides that, the rest of the plush actually looks really good. And it's really the only Guacodile plush I could find, so yeah, this one's basically the best out of all of them, as though there's no really competition for it. But yeah, overall, everything on this plush is just really nicely detailed. You can see the teeth, and the inside of the mouth just does look really detailed and everything, so they obviously put a lot of work into it. Next, we have the Banana Launcher. Now, in terms of accuracy, the best Banana Launcher plush is this custom one, as it just looks really good and everything, as it's just a really big plush that also just looks really detailed. As though the eyes are actually 3D on this plush, and basically everything about it just looks really good. But sadly, this plush isn't available anymore, so the only one that you could get currently is the Linkson 2 one that was released around a month ago. And well, even though this one doesn't look as detailed as the last one, it still looks pretty nice and is really your only option for a banana launcher plush. So yeah, even though it's not as accurate as the custom banana launcher plush, it still looks really nice and is also really easy to get and pretty cheap. Next we have Hot Potato. Now the Hot Potato is just a really small custom plush, and well, it looks really nice. There's some iron-on material on the face, and well, it actually looks really nicely detailed, and the custom maker of this plush did a really good job. And well, a cool detail about it is that the heat part of the plush that's coming off of it is actually a whole separate piece of material that could actually come off of the plush. Next we have the Charred Guard. Now once again, this is just a really nice looking plush that definitely has a lot of detail to it. As though there's actually a lot of detail with the branches and everything, and also all the leaves on this plush just look really good, and they're all really nicely stuffed. So yeah, everything on this plush overall looks really accurate looking, and well, overall there's really no bad things about this plush as well, but it just seems to be really nicely stuffed and overall really nicely made. Next we have the Stunyon. Now just like the last two plushes that we looked at, once again this one's a custom, and well, it's actually a really accurate looking custom as well. There's really no inaccuracies about this plush. As of everything on the Stunyon plush basically is just on the original character, so yeah, there's basically no complaints I have about this plush as well, but basically looks completely accurate. As of all the details on the face and everything just look really good, and they did a great job with it. Next we have the Rutabaga. Once again, this plush just looks basically perfect, and they also did a good job blending the different colors of purple and making it look really nice. The bottom of the plush is a really good detail, though it could probably get understuffed pretty easily, as those small pieces of plush material like that could most likely get understuffed most of the time really easily. But yeah, they just did a really good job blending all the colors on this plush, like the green and white, and also the different purple colors, so yeah, there's definitely something on this plush that they did a great job with. And once again, there's no really details missing on this plush, so once again, it's basically a perfect custom of it. Next we have the Aki. Now the only plush of it I could find is this one crochet plush, which is just a really small one. And well, no one's actually selling this plush, and instead they're just selling the pattern of it, which is just a really strange concept, but yeah, I guess you could buy the pattern for this plush on Etsy currently. So yeah, currently there's no way to actually buy this plush, and instead you're gonna have to make it on your own, so yeah, it's definitely a really strange one, and it's also just really small. Next we have the Stalia. Now this is definitely one of the most detailed customs in the entire video, as all the separate leaves are just really nicely made, and they did a great job with it. The eyes also just look really good as well. They have a purple tint to them just to give it a bit more detail compared to the rest of the custom plushes, and just to make them stick out a bit more. And well, basically everything on this plush, to the leaf base to the entirety of the plush, just looks really nice. As though there's really nothing wrong with this plush in terms of the details, so yeah, overall it's once again just a really nice custom. Next we have the Fat Beat. Now this plush was made by the company Linkson 2, and there's actually two sizes of it, being a normal size and a backpack clip size. But yeah, both plushes look pretty good, though I would recommend getting the normal size as well, but just looks a bit more accurate. And well, for this plush, it's actually really common, and well, all the details on the face look really nicely embroidered on. They also did a good job with the stitching and everything, so yeah, overall, it's just a really good plush. One thing that I would recommend doing, though, with these plushes is that make sure your plush doesn't look like this, as well, for whatever reason, the headphones just are really far up on it, so make sure you get one that actually has them lower down. As though there's actually a couple for sale recently with these really strange looking ones, so I would recommend making sure to actually not buy from a stock image, as though sometimes you'll get these really strange looking ones. Next we have the Celery Stalker. Now this is just a really nice looking custom plush, and once again they just put some metal rods in this plush to make him stand up a bit better. As well, this entire plush just has a bit of a metal rod within it as well, but it just wants to stand up a bit better, and well, but they ended up doing a really good job with it as well, but it looks really nice. And well, all the details on it look really good, and all the colors just blend together really nicely, so yeah, once again, it's just a really good looking plush. Next we have the Spore Shroom. Now this plush is actually really nicely detailed, and well, the only really detail that's missing on this plush is that the eyes are actually supposed to be a purple tinted color. But besides that, the rest of the plush basically looks accurate, as well the cap on this plush just looks really nice and all the colors go really well together, and the shooter part of the plush is really nicely stuffed. So yeah, basically every single part of this plush just looks really nice and they did a great job with it. Next we have the intensive carrot. Now this intensive carrot plush actually looks really nice, as though the entire plush is just really nicely stuffed and everything, and they just did a great job with it. As you can see near the bottom of the carrot, they actually made a whole separate piece of plush material and wrapped it around it just to give it a bit more detail and make it look more accurate. Which is overall just a really nice detail, which they didn't need to make, as even without that, the plush just would look really good. So yeah, overall it's just a really nice looking plush that they just did a great job with. Next we have the Primal pea shooter. Now WorldMax actually made a Primal pea shooter pillow, and while that's really the only Primal pea shooter plush that exists as well, but it's just a really rare one that really only has 2 images of it that exist. So yeah, if you want this plush, it's basically impossible to get, so you basically have just no chance of finding it. Next we have the Perfume Shroom. Now the cap on this plush looks really good, as all the hearts and everything are just really nicely made and they did a good job with it. And while the entire rest of the plush is just really nicely stuffed, the face looks pretty good and basically all the details on this plush look really nice. Next we have the Primal Sunflower. Now just like the Primal pea shooter, this plush actually has a pillow of it, and well, it looks really good. Though once again, it's basically impossible to find, so you can't really get it, but there's actually a custom Primal Sunflower plush. So yeah, instead of just having a pillow of it like the Primal pea shooter, this one actually has a custom plush made of it that looks really nice as well, especially with the details on the face. They just did a really good job with it. And well, next we have the Primal Potato Mine. And well, just like the Primal Sunflower plush, it once again just looks really good, and the people that made this custom just did a really good job with it, as well, you can see some extra details they're just added onto the Potato Mine. As well, they just did a really good job with it overall, and it's just a really nice looking plush. Next we have the Moonflower. Now just like the A key, there's no really actual plush to this one for sale, and it's just a pattern that they're selling. So once again, you can't really buy this plush and you just have to make it on your own, and once again, it's just a really small one and it's overall just pretty strange. Next we have the Peanut. Now this plush is a Latin American bootleg, and well, it's actually a pretty obscure one, as well the only country that this plush is really common in is Mexico, and well, but if you live outside of Mexico, this plush is basically impossible to find. As well, it's just really hard to get this plush outside of there, as well, it doesn't really ship anywhere else, so yeah, it's just a really hard one to get. But yeah, overall, still just looks really nice, and the people that made this plush just did a really good job with it, especially for a bootleg. As most bootleg plushes usually just don't look this good, so overall, it just did a really good job with it. Next, we have the Fire Pea. Now, this was definitely one of the most disappointing Links in 2 plushes, as when I heard of a Fire Pea plush, I would actually think that it would look good, but instead, they made this. As it was literally just a normal Links in 2 pea shooter, except they just changed the head color to a red, and same thing with the leaf. And well, this plush literally isn't even meant to have a leaf, as a Fire pea shooter doesn't have a leaf on the back of it, instead it just has fire. So honestly, this is just a horrible plush, and honestly, I just really wouldn't recommend getting it, as it looks nowhere near an actual Fire Pea. Next we have the Lava Guava. Now this custom Lava Guava plush is by far the best one, as all the details and everything just look really nice, and is actually meant to be a pillow. But sadly, this plush isn't for sale anymore, and it hasn't been in stock for multiple years, but thankfully, just last month, Links in 2 released their own. But yeah, overall, this plush just does look really good, and honestly, it's definitely just a really good one with all the embroidery and everything, and well, it's actually just really common, as well, you can find it on eBay really easily. Next, we have the Strawburst. Now, just like the Peanut, this is made by a Latin American bootleg company, and well, once again, it just looks really good, and it's actually one of the most accurate plushes in the entire video. As it was actually a lot better than most Links in 2 plushes, as all the details on it just look really nice, and they did a great job with it. As all the details look really good, the embroidery on the face is just really nice, and all the details on the leaf base just look really good. And well, honestly, I don't really have any complaints with this plush, as it was just basically a perfect looking plush that they just did a really good job with. So yeah, just like the Peanut plush, is just a really good looking plush, and is on par with most companies that make PVZ plushes still. Next we have the Electric Blueberry. Now just like the Fat Bee, this plush has 2 sizes, being a normal size and a backpack clip size. And while there's no really differences within these two variants besides the sizes of them, and while both of them look pretty good. The embroidery on the face looks really nice, and while the leaves also look pretty good, one of them being stitched onto the side of it just to make it look a bit more accurate. But yeah, overall, this is just a really common plush and it looks really nice. Next we have the jack-o'-lantern. Now there's actually two customs of this plush I found, being this one and this one. And while I think the first one's definitely the better looking custom as well, it's just really nicely stuffed and everything and just looks really nice. But don't get me wrong, the second custom also just looks really good, and it also just did a really good job with it, and the entire plush just looks pretty nice. So yeah, honestly, both of these customs look pretty good, and I actually found a couple of other custom jack-o'-lantern plushes, so it seems to actually be a pretty common thing to make custom plushes a jack-o'-lantern for whatever reason. Next we have the grape shot. Now once again, just like other Links in 2 plushes, this one was released last month, and well, it looks pretty good. And while all the faces on this plush actually look pretty good, and while there's actually 3 different facial expressions that this plush could have, and while most grape shot plushes actually look different. As well, mattering on which one you get, some of them could actually have different faces in different places, which actually does make the plush a bit more unique. But yeah, overall, it's just a really nice looking plush, and once again, it's just really common. Next we have the Cold Snapdragon. Now World Max, just like the Primal Pea Shooter and Primal Sunflower, they made a pillow of this one. And while I actually really like this pillow plush, as it actually has a costume with it, having the ice cream skin with the Cold Snapdragon, so yeah, overall, this is just a really nice looking plush. And honestly, I really wish it just wasn't as rare as it was, as though it's just a really nice looking one that they just did a really good job with it, and I wish I could get it. But yeah, somebody also made a custom Cold Snapdragon plush that actually just looks really nice, and whoever made it did a really good job with it. As of all the details and everything do look pretty good, the only thing that doesn't really make a lot of sense is that you could see the eyes on this plush when you're actually normally not able to see the eyes on a Cold Snapdragon. Next we have the Apple Mortar. Now you can quite clearly tell that they're made by the same people that made the Peanut plush and also the Strawburst plush. And well, once again, they just did a really good job with it, as of all the embroidery on the face just looks really nice, and the leaf base also looks really good. So yeah, once again, I honestly wish that this plush was actually available outside of just Mexico, as it was actually just a really nice plush. Next we have the Witch Hazel. Now this custom plush is actually one of the best custom plushes in the entire video, as it was just really accurate. As of the entire plush is just really well made, and they just did a really good job with it. So yeah, overall, this is definitely just one of the better looking customs, as well all the details and everything look pretty good. And I'm guessing with the yellow pieces of plush material, they just have metal bars within them just to make them bendable and everything, so they stand up a bit better and just look really nice. And well, next we have the Imp Pair. Now this is actually the newest Links in 2 plush release, and well, it looks really nice. As well, just like the Lava Guava plush, this plush actually has a costume on it, being a mustache. And while it looks pretty good, the mouth is also really nicely stitched on, and all the details look really good. The leaf on this plush is made out of a felt material, meaning that it could get damaged, but yeah, overall, this is just a really good looking plush. And while it's also just really common, it's also the newest Plants vs. Zombies plush that has been released by any single company. But yeah, those were all the Plants vs. Zombies 2 plants that have plush variants of them. And well, as you can tell, as I said earlier in the video, there's really not that many Plants vs. Zombies 2 plants that actually have plushes of them. As you notice, there's basically no premium plants that have plushes of them, as though they're just really obscure most of the time, and they just kind of blend in with one another. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please like and subscribe, and comment down below which of these plushes are your favorite, and yeah, have a great day.